Welcome, 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 my lovelies. Welcome back. So, welcome to part 12 of Georgie's Palace. I should already have that in my head before I start my videos, shouldn't I? You know, I just press the button and then start wondering what to say. Welcome, my lovelies. I hope you are okay at the moment and all is well. It's a nice sunny morning here in the UK, in this part of the UK. But last night we had, it was forecast, but last night we had a weather warning of thunder and lightning, which we don't often get here in the UK. After we'd done our reading in bed last night, JB and me, the rain started, and then the thunder and the lightning started, and we ended up with the lights out and the curtains open, and it was like a light show. And I have to say, I have never seen lightning like it here. Anyway, it may be quite common in other places in the world, but usually we get a bit of a flash of lightning, and then you have to count 2 or 3 or 4 seconds, and then you get a distant thunder noise. And for the first time, as far as I can remember ever, it just built up really quickly, and we were just getting the sky was just lighting up everywhere constantly, and just rolls of thunder all on top of each other, and it went on for about 3/4 of an hour to an hour. It looked like, looking out the window with all the flashing lights, it looked like some kind of red carpet event or awards ceremony where all the stars come on and all the cameras are flashing like crazy. It was absolutely an amazing light show, and we saw some forks of thunder coming down. And I quite like that weather if I'm not out in it. So we were quite cozy at home, just watching it from the window. So I'm only mentioning that because it's a very unusual thing to happen here in the UK, as I said, and to such an extent. Cheers, my lovelies. So, as I said, this is part 12 of Georgie's Palace, and today I'm going to start the video. It will take quite a while before I get to the next clip of the video or the next section of what I'm going to be doing, because this bit is going to take probably a couple of days. With you it will take a minute or two, but it's going to be probably a couple of days work. I have a 5-0 paintbrush here, and you can get 2 zeros, 3, 4, 5 zeros, and the higher the zeros, the thinner the brush goes. So it looks like there's about a dozen hairs on the end of the brush. It's so tiny and so fine. And I'm using this. It even says it's by Pro Art, this actual paintbrush, 5-0, and it actually says miniature painting GB on it. So it is actually obviously for miniature painting, like they have to tell you. In case you decide to use it to paint your house walls with, I don't know. Anyway, I've just realised that. Why would it say miniature painting? So I'm going to use this miniature painting brush to start gilding or painting gold the detail on this coving, and I am going to paint most of the detail on this coving. There's not going to be much left out. It's going to be very OTT, which is what the people who own the palace want. So I have started this piece. I spent a little while already this morning just doing this, so I'll just show you it as I start. Just you build it up as you want. You can start from one end and do the whole thing as you go along. I started by doing the top line there because it was less detailed than the pattern below, just to get into the routine. Then there's a tiny thin gold line underneath that, as you can see, and then I just went right along and painted the repeat motifs first of all, and now I'm going along and filling in each one in between, and that's just the way I'm doing this piece. Maybe on the next piece I might do the full lines and then just start the detail from this side and just do the whole thing right along, but I'm going to alternate it so I don't get bored with it for a start, and it's just an easier way for me to do it, just to sort of change it about, but it is going to take probably a couple of days. So while I'm doing this, what I will be doing is I'll just sit and maybe listen to some audio books, some Agatha Christie sort of detective books or mystery books or whatever, or Poirot. I do like Poirot. We do like a bit of Poirot, or a little bit of music in the background, or just the ticking clock that you can hear when I'm not talking. So anyway, we'll just take the camera down and just show you. Obviously you need a very steady hand. If I didn't have a steady hand, then I wouldn't be doing this is for sure. So let's move the camera down and we'll just sit just quietly for one moment while I just paint a little bit. Now I don't want to paint it on my new mat because it will just make it, if I make a mess or whatever, it will just make it more and more scruffy as time goes on. So I'm trying to keep this one as clean as possible for as long as possible. So I'm just putting a bit of bubble wrap down, just thin bubble wrap to rest it on, or I could use a piece of card on top of this, whatever, just to cover this. Some people have asked, and I'm very, very happy to tell you, as always, my lovelies, I mean, you are all family. But this, the paint, some people have been asking. I have mentioned it on Georgie's Palace videos, but I can't remember which ones. But I'll just show you all again. This is Charles Robertson, which is London. Charles Robertson of London, and it's called, here we are, it's called Liquid Metal. And the colour that I'm using is yellow gold. I have a pale gold as well, and I can't remember, you can get a few different colours, a few different golds, and you can buy them in small pots. This is a 500ml pot because I'm doing the palace, and already you can see, you know, it's going down in the pot just with the little bit I've done so far. So I'm probably going to use most of this pot, just doing one house basically, or palace in this case. So all I'm doing is just very finely, it's a very light hand, tiny bit of paint on the brush, and then stop breathing and paint. And what I have to do is be careful and take it easy, because I think if you smudge this paint, then in all this tiny detail you're never going to get it out again. So it has to be done right first time. I don't know if I can, let me put that in water so it doesn't, it's such a small brush it will dry really quickly. But if I can hold it, let me see if I can hold it up close enough, and just to show you, hopefully you can see, if I hold it up like that, so you'll see that, hopefully see that it's not absolutely perfect because the moulding isn't exact, or the relief work isn't exact. So you're just basically dabbing it on as evenly as you can. I shall carry on with this, and then I'll come back to you when I've done a bit more and there's a bit more to see. Okay, so an update on the gilding of the Coving. I'm very, very pleased with it, the way it's come out. if it catches the light at all in this video, but just to give an idea of what it looks like. And a slight exaggeration over the time schedule of, was it 2 days I said, that went down to maybe 1 day that will take me to paint these. Well, that took me 1 hour. So if anyone's interested in buying coving, plaster coving with lots of detail like that, it takes about an hour to do if you do it carefully and don't smudge it too much. So I think there's 5 pieces of coving, so a 5-hour job. It's the best part of a day anyway in the workshop. So I shall carry on with that. It was actually very relaxing, and listening to some noise in the background quietly. So I'll carry on with that, and then we can start putting the coving up. Yes, we can. And I've decided that all should be gold instead of just picking out this thin line here. I want the whole, because I've done the top bit there, or the bottom bit depending on how I put it up. So it's a whole band of gold there, so I want another band of gold there. And then the white will just be showing behind the relief work, which I think will look really good. I've done, as I say, I've done 3 pieces, and I think I want to add more gold. What did the owners say? They wanted detail on top of detail on top of detail. So it didn't take long to do that gold strip, so I shall just paint over the whole thing, and I think it will really connect the two and make this bit here a really nice feature standing out. At the moment it sort of disappears with the edge of that. So, but this is, I'm just showing you guys, just to show you as the journey goes on, this is what we do, and this is what you probably do with your houses. Oh, itchy nose. And you'll do stuff and then you'll look at it and then change it. So yes, this fine detail, it will definitely stand out, which it is. As soon as you put the gold on it, it brings that to life. So that's what I shall do. Now, before I glue the doors into the back of the grand hall and fit those, I'm going to put some handles on. I've done one on this side. They're nice big solid brass handles, and they go nicely with this type of door. I don't want the lever doors up and handles up and down. I'd rather have these in a big grand house like this. So you can buy them just single like that, or you can buy them in packs, and you can also get them with just the doorknobs themselves, and then you glue those on, which is, I've used a lot of those and they're absolutely great. There's no problem with them whatsoever. But I just have decided, because it's the palace, I've just splashed out really to get something a bit better. So these are quite heavy brass tooled pieces. They're machined obviously, and they come with their own screw, which is absolutely excellent. And of course, don't drop these on the floor when you're in the middle of attaching them, otherwise it's very difficult to find them again. Right, so we'll see which side the door opens, and I'm just going to mark it by eye in the middle of this panel right there. And then I'm going to use just a handheld drill bit. I've got a couple of these, and put different drills in them. You can buy packs of drills, and they go from, I don't know what the actual, the sizes they are on there, from 3mm right down to 0.8 millimeters, so less than a millimeter wide. But I've got a couple of packs of different sizes of those, so they're very, very handy. And then I can just place the chosen drill on here and then turn it by hand. When you think you've gone through, oops, I would just check it. Not quite. Because you can, it's just coming through now, you can keep drilling through your, with them being brand new as well, they're very sharp, so it will still drill through the mat if you're not careful. There we are. Just brush off the excess dust, and then I would take one of the doorknobs and the screw, and just carefully, if you've got shaky hands, then this isn't so easy, I would imagine, but just get that on nice and square, and then it will screw down, and it goes down so far before it will stop going in, and then we can push that. It doesn't matter which way through the door it goes, but just push that through. That should just fit snugly. I'll just turn it a bit to go through, and that's it, and then we know it's a really nice snug fit. And then put the knob on the other side, or the door handle on the other side, and get the thread squared again and screw that in. And they're made obviously that one goes one way, one goes the other way, so you can screw them in tight. So that just leaves a nice finish there. So I shall get those glued in into the grand hole, and then oh, and I need some string or some thread, so I'll show you what I'm going to do with that as well. Okay, so as I said, I needed 2 pieces of string, so I've cut them to any length really, it doesn't matter as long as I can reach them, and I've poked them through quite big holes at the back there underneath the flooring, and they're about 1 inch or so, 1 or 2 inches the other side, and I have taped them down with a piece of masking tape, and I'll just leave them there for a while. And all that will mean is I'm now going to glue down the flooring, whoops, this way, glue the flooring down, put that in its place, and then I'm going to attach the doors. I can't leave this loose because the doors come down and stand on it. The main doors there are going to sit on it to dry into place, so it's going to be very awkward even if I don't glue along the bottom to keep getting this piece out. Plus I'll have pieces of architecture in front of these stairs here, and the stairs are going to be glued in as well. So these are here because I'm going to have the 2 illuminated torches each side of the stairs, and they're the electrical, so I can then tie the bit of string on the end of the electrical wire and then pull them through from the other side, so it pulls the wires through under the floor, and then they can be wired up to the mains. If I ever need to change these or want to change these, then or take them out and do something to them and put them back, then when I undo them from the back of the tape that I'm going to wire them to, I can then tie a bit of string on them, pull them back out again, and then I've got the string there to put them back through and rewire with something else or whatever it is I'm going to do. But I can't fit those now and leave them lying here. They're too precious to do all the building work, especially with bits of plaster work I'm going to put on the ceiling. They just need to be touched, and they're going to break because they're porcelain. So that's one way of getting around that problem. Now I forgot about these doors, so this is good timing to talk about the door handles or the doorknobs again. There are times when you don't want to use the ones with the screw and bolt them on because of you don't want handles on both sides of the doors, and this is one of those occasions where these doors don't open. That's behind the scenes, as they say in the movies. So with these I just want to glue them on, and they'll just be decoration, but obviously to look like doors. So again, you can get smaller ones than these, but I've got the large size, if I can hold that up, it's the large size brass doorknobs. Again, they're nice and heavy. I do love brass fittings, and these are, if I'll show you in the back, they're just flat. So they are literally for sticking. And of course, if you didn't have the screw ones and you could only get flat ones, then you can just still glue those on two sides of a door. That wouldn't matter. Once they're stuck, they're stuck. In saying that, once they're stuck is because I'm using super glue. This is a Turner and Grey super glue, but I think most super glues are much of a muchness, as we like to say, or some people like to say. So, of course, this is where I'm doing this on camera. This is where I open up the super glue tube and it's all dried and it's not going to work. And then you have to start sticking needles in the end to make it work. Is that the... Oh no, here we are, it's working. And I won't go mad with it, and I will put the lid on each time. And you could use tweezers to hold this in place. Actually, I might do that. No, I won't. I'll just use my hands. But you could use tweezers if you want to make sure you got it right. I'm just going to place that down, and I have marked the centre of the door as well. So it's so both of them are going to glue side by side, and I can just put this one down at the same time. And then I'll just let gravity let those set and dry. It's nice to see the super glue actually working when you go to use it. We know that's not always the case. Right, now I want to get this, without touching the glue, I want to get this central to the other one. And you do have a... I was going to say you do have a few seconds to move it, but I don't want to, don't think. Nope, that's good enough for me. If you put the handles on and one is slightly higher or lower, you know, like I say, who knows, who cares? All the time you're doing your own miniatures, it doesn't matter how it comes up or what it looks like. The main thing is, if you're happy, then it's perfect. If you're happy, your work is perfect. No matter what anybody else thinks of it, you're the one that you're pleasing. Except for me, of course. I'm trying to please you all. Oh, it's a tough life, believe me. Right, let's get this door stuck onto the wall. Okay, so I'm just about to glue in the central doors in the grand hall. It's the main doors inside the building so far. It's going to be glued in with wood glue. It will be permanent, so it will be there for the length of time of the palace existing. If in years to come, well, in years to come when I'm not here, if anyone takes over the palace and decides to refurb it or rip it out and change it into something else and carry on its history, and they decide to rip the doors out of the back of the palace, then I've just left them a little note there, just so they have some history about it. I thought that was a nice touch. Okay, at this point, before I show you, I'm going to start putting the coving up on the ceiling. That little noise you can hear in the background is JB over there working on his project. Hello JB.
Hello everybody.
Yay! He didn't know I was about to start filming, or he probably would have prepared to say something, but I know he is very, very grateful and pleased that people have been messaging, that you've been messaging.
I am very.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's been a new thing for him. As you know, it's usually me that does the videos, but now JB is joining in a bit more, and you're actually enjoying it, aren't you?
Better.
And obviously a lot better. Yes.
Well, part 2 won't be too long.
No,
so that's good. We're going to start filming at the weekend.
Filming at the weekend,
and then
so hopefully this,
it'll be good.
Excellent.
Okay.
So, also I wanted to say, because I wrote some names down, and I can't remember, I say this every time, if I've already said thank you, but I just hate to miss anybody out. So, people who have been placing donations on my channel, you are, I don't know how to describe how much you're helping me to be able to purchase things for the palace. I mean, you've no idea, but I must mention that there's the last 3 that I've had is Jen's Art. Whoever you are, thank you so much. Rachel, my old pal Rachel. I'll say Rachel L because there's more than one Rachel that's watching me. But up in Bonnie, Scotland, I do know that. So thank you so much. And Deborah. There are a few Deborahs that watch, but this is Deborah F from the USA, the US of A. Thank you so much, Deborah. I mean, honestly, really honestly, this has made a whole new, it's just put me in a whole new direction. I had all my ideas for the palace before I actually started work on it. Over the last 2 years, I've been thinking of different things, different covings, different wallpapers. But now people have been donating or placing donations. That's all changed. So my shopping list has become, let's say, a bit more upmarket. I think what the palace deserves, really. So it was very frustrating. That's why I've been putting off this project for so long, because I know that what I was going to have to use, I was not going to be happy with. And it's a big project. It's going to take a long time. I'm doing this because, as you know, now it's there. So yes, thank you, my lovelies. Thank you so much. And to anybody else that donates, it will just be, it just feels like a miracle each time. I can't tell you how thankful I am. So I've put the back doors in the middle of the room of the grand hall. They're glued in. I'm now I've done that, it's the same really as putting a chimney breast in the middle of the room. I'm now going to work around it to put the coving in. So this is part of the coving that I've been painting up. It takes a long time, but it's very therapeutic. I just wanted to show you this first bit because they come in they come in lengths like so, and then you cut them to size. And when you hold them up to the ceiling and you're measuring and cutting, and you accidentally drop them onto the floor of your dollhouse, where are they? Oh, here they are. They break into pieces, and sometimes 3 or 4 pieces. So you just, when that happens, you sit down, make a cup of tea, you cry for a couple of minutes, that kind of thing. Your partner looks at you and tells you stop being dramatic, and you get over it. Yeah. Don't you just love JB? I do. So, but I wanted to show you before I put this bit up, as I have shown you, it just looks, that bit looks like it's all one piece, which is fine. But if I show you behind the scenes, I stick these big covings, I write wall and ceiling, so when I'm putting them up, I don't get mixed up because there's several bits going to go up. So we've got ceiling and wall. But if you can see here, I have used super glue to put these pieces back together. But these bits broke off, and that small bit that was on the end there, that was all at the end of this piece. And that small bit I can use to go around the doors, so that's fine. But yes, so that's very broken. But as you can see, as long as it's not broken with fragments or anything, and it's just whole pieces, it just super glues back together. And I can't remember, I don't think actually that I touched that up with the gold again. No, when you look really closely, you can see a fine line. But you'd have to get up like this to see it. So it's fine. It glues back together. So if you do buy these and drop them, it's not the end of the world. After you've cried for a minute or two. I didn't really. Anyway, I'm going to put a piece up. I can't film this bit because I can't get the camera sitting on something. I need a tripod really. But I'm going to glue this bit up and then show you how I'm holding it. And also, before I do it, I've cut the top off now. It's a brand new bottle, so I'll hold the end in case it comes out. But I'm using No More Nails. It's a Unibond, No More Nails. That has a 5-minute play time, which is absolutely fine. So after 5 minutes it's set and you can't move it, and it dries so strong that it's like it says, you don't where you would normally use nails, you don't have to. For wood you can use it on plaster obviously, so I'm going to use that, and then the weight of the coving will never just fall down on its own accord. So I'll get this first bit glued and then show you what how I'm achieving it. Okay, you can see here I've put the first bit of coving up. I didn't want to hold it for 5 minutes because it would definitely make my arms ache, and I don't want that. But I did cut a couple of pieces of I think they're 5mm pieces of wood, strip wood. They're quite strong, and the floor it has a slight give in it when you push it because there's no support right underneath. So I could wedge these pieces in, and it just wedges into a section of the floorboard where the floorboards are joining, and it's not slipping away. So it's quite firm in there. But what I wanted to show you was at the beginning. This is the beginning of putting coving up in any room. If you don't have a fireplace or a door or anything on that back wall, and it's just a flat back wall, then you're just going to cove in pieces from one side to the other. But you would do the back wall first, regardless of whether you have this or not. When you do have this, then I still start on the back wall. I would say never start coving down one side and then move along as you go along. It's in the beginning I did that, never thinking, just started from one side and worked to the other, and you couldn't hold bits in properly when they were gluing. There was lots of problems in doing it that way. After time I found out that this was the absolute easiest and best way to fit coving in, was to always start on the back wall. If there's a chimney breast in the way, go on one, it doesn't matter which side, but go from one side of we'll call it is the door, so one side of the door, measure it to the corner or the edge to edge, and then cut your piece of coving angled in, always angled in when it's on the back wall like that. Then I can actually do the other side as well, which I probably will, and put those two bits in first. Then when you've got the back wall in with everything going flat, however many sections you're using, then start building bits out. So you can either do the side walls next and build them out from there. I mean, I might do that just so it looks like it's coming along a bit quicker, and then tackle this last. And what we're doing when we come to this, we're going to cut one piece coming from the corner out to the edge of this door, and do that on both sides, and then that leaves us with one flat bit to put in the center at the front, in front of the door. So that's how I would always start and finish the coving. Okay, so just at this point I just want to talk briefly, but a little bit more in depth about putting coving up. Skirting board or baseboards, yes, I think they're called baseboards over across the pond, but putting those up, or the covings or the cornicing around the top of the ceiling, which we're doing at the moment in the palace. So a lot of people, including me when I started, just got the angles wrong going round the perimeter of the room. Just got the angles wrong each time I cut bits of wood, and then I thought I got it right, then I hadn't, and I wasted a whole lot of stuff, which went into my shoebox collection with all my small pieces of wood that I then use for other things. So they will be recycled. But yes, I was the same as everyone else and just got angled wrong and couldn't understand or see in my head what it was. I'm going to just explain to you as clearly as possible how I go around the room now, and knowing which way to cut each piece of cornice at the right angle. So what I'll do is I'm going to bring the camera down here first of all, and just give you a view a mock-up of a room, or a wall anyway, and then demonstrate how I know which way to cut the angles. Right, okay, now, so this is, I've just got some bits of wood. These are fireplace pieces or chimney breast pieces that are ready to put together to make chimney breasts. But just ignore the holes in here and here and here. Just imagine they are flat bits of wall, and this is the only chimney breast, so ignore that hole. So this is just say the corner of a room. So this is just, we're not talking about this side of the chimney breast, we're just concentrating on here. So the angles are always, there's either two angles, one is in one direction, the other is in the other direction, the two angles. There's never any other way of doing this. So when you look at the room, all the areas that go in, like the corners that go in and meet, like the corner of a room, the corner of the chimney breast in here is in, they're all in. This is the only part, the corner, that is out in the room, and then this side here. And then the same here, it would go into a corner, along the edge of the wall and into a corner. So the ones that are going into a corner, each piece that you cut, you're cutting, I haven't got a bit here, but each piece that you're going to cut, if it's going into corners that are going in, you're always cutting, like you've got the length of the piece and you're always cutting inwards, never outwards. So it's always inwards. I should have had a bigger piece here held up and cut, but I haven't. No, okay. So yes, so the angles will always, so if I hold this up, this piece here, and this is going into this bit here, so it's in the wall, there's an inner corner and an inner corner, then that bit, if you look at it from above, it's going to cut in and in like that. That is the only way that bit is going to go in. Once you've put the inner corners in, then you're going to come out towards the edge of the chimney breast, or in my case the doors, whatever you've got here. But you're coming in from you've got an inner corner there and an outer corner there. When you cut that, so let me get this up the right way. So this now will be going up into the ceiling here, coming out towards the edge of the fireplace. So when you've got that, the end that you've got nearest the wall, which is this end, is still an inner corner piece. So that is going to be angled when you cut it 45 degrees. It's going to be cut in that way. What you normally do, or what I would do, is get a ruler, preferably a shorter ruler than that one. What I would do is measure the distance or the depth of the fireplace from the wall as you touch the wall to the very corner of the fireplace. In this case, I think it's 5 centimeters. So you just measure the distance from where it touches the wall to the actual corner itself. So just say for our purposes, it's a 5 centimeter length. So all you do is, and you're cutting from the ceiling section, so it's up this way. So you forget about the wall, don't even think about the wall, just think about the bit that's attaching to the ceiling. When you look at it straight on, you're going to cut it in like that. Once you've cut that angle, from wherever that point is, just say it's exactly from there in, all you do is put your finger there or put it on the bench, draw a line across to 5 centimeters and just mark the 5 centimeter line. I'll just do it quickly like that. So you just mark the 5 centimeter line like so. So from that point, so there we are. So this is the ceiling again. I've written ceiling. I don't know if it's spelt right, but I know what I'm talking about. So that's one cut going in like that, inwards. This cut is going to go out on this length of wood. It's not going to go in. So you've got that length of coving or plaster, and it's going to go out. So the fireplace, when you're going around the fireplace, you will always be doing 2 cuts in the same direction. I was going to say basically, but that's not basically, it's fact. So that is how the sides of your chimney breast is going to go. So when you hold that up, this bit fits into the corner of the room going along there, and this bit you'll have, and it will be sticking out there, so it will just be the length of the chimney breast out to there, and then the plaster will come out into the room. Okay, now again from there to there, this and this are outer corners again, so you get your, let's just grab a length, this is unpainted, but anyway it doesn't matter. As I say, all of mine, I mean this is just a bit of unused coving, but even for this purpose I've written wall on there and ceiling there, just to show you with a piece of wood in a minute. But now we're going from there to there, so we put that up to the ceiling, and we know it's an outer corner, so that we know we're going to be cutting outwards and not in. So you've got to start somewhere along the end of your length. I wouldn't come in too far or you're wasting so much. So I'd do it so it was sort of more or less touching that corner, like so. Maybe just in slightly, just so you get a nice clean cut. So that length you're cutting in front of the fire, in front of the chimney breast, is an outer corner. Because this corner is also an outer corner on this side, you're then cutting this length out again. So it's not going into that length of wood. So it's an outer corner. And all we're doing is measuring from that point of the chimney breast to that point, and going from that point of the ceiling, the cornice, the length of the chimney breast, say it comes to there, and we're going to put this in the mitre block and cut it from that point out. So it will be cut like that. Again, we're just concentrating on where it touches the ceiling. It's the easiest, honestly, this is the easiest way to do it. So you've got that, and then you're just doing the same around here. This corner is an outer piece, the piece going, where's the ceiling? The piece going from here to the wall. This is an outer corner, so you're going to have to cut it so it comes out, and then the measurement from there to the wall, whatever measurement that is, you're then cutting, it's an inner corner, so you're cutting into your piece of wood, into your piece of coving. So it's the same cut again, but in reverse, because you're going around the other side. Once you know that, outer corners, inner corners, cut into the length of wood, cut out away from the length of wood. That's the main thing to remember. Now I'll move the camera slightly so you can see what else I'm doing now. Right, okay. So I'm going to use a mitre block to cut these. You can use an electric saw, in which case obviously the machinery is different. But using a mitre block, this is shaped so that it goes onto the edge of a bench and stays flat. But if I do that like that on the workbench, then obviously it's not upright. So this bit of wood is just to hold it up. That's the only reason that bit of wood is there. So ignore it. So you're cutting, this is the front of your bench, and you're cutting into your mitre block with said saw. To put the piece of wood or the plaster into your mitre block, to cut it at the right angle, you want to make sure that your the ceiling piece of wood, it's bigger on here so I can show you. That's the wall side, that's the ceiling side, so you know your coving is going to go into the ceiling this way up, not this way up. So there's the ceiling at the top. The ceiling bit is the one that you want flat at the top when you cut it. So that's the way it goes into the mitre block. You cut I cut my covings or cornicings or skirting boards or baseboards to the back of the mitre block. Never ever holding your piece of wood to the front of your mitre block and cutting it. Never. You just need to just get that into your head. Doing that, you can't work out what we're doing here. So if you do them always in the same method, exactly in the same method. So that's the wall of your piece of coving. That is the back wall of your mitre block. Put the wall flush with the wall at the back. So if I hold that up, it's flush with the back, like that. Now, and that's the ceiling part. It says ceiling, so that's the top of the wood is the ceiling. So you're basically cutting this in the same position it's going to be placed into the room, into the ceiling. So this would just come from here straight up and stick on the ceiling as it is. So you can see where your mitre cuts are, which way the angle is. Obviously, because I've just shown you with this length here, this bit coming in here, because it's going into the length of coving you're cutting, that's an inner corner, and that is obviously an outer corner. So that, at the moment, to me, as it's short, it looks like a piece that's going around the side of a chimney breast. Easy. So all you do is put that there, hold your coving flat against the mitre block, and just get the, and just line it up. So where you've drawn your line, you've got the angle there to put the saw in. So it's angled just there, and then the other side of the block goes in there. With this, I'm just being very careful. With this, because the coving is slightly higher than the block, I can't get the saw down into the grooves easily to cut it. With normal pieces of coving, here's a normal piece, they're down low, so you can put the saw right down into the groove and you've got it in line. All I'm having to do with this is just be careful. I'm just drawing the saw, drawing the saw, get it in line with the pencil mark and drawing it slowly towards me a few times just to get a mark into the plaster. It cuts fairly easy, and then just start cutting slowly and gradually, and as you come down you can tip it slightly to go into the back of the mitre block hole and cut a bit more, and then eventually it comes down to the bit at the front, and then once you've just cut that first 2 millimeters, then you're a homeward run, or whatever they call it. So that's that. Also, so I'll show you with a short bit there. This has just got a slight sort of pattern here. There's a few more light sections there than there are down there, a bit more detail. So I would put this bit on the ceiling, so when you're looking up you would see this around the ceiling. So as I say, you've marked your angle or your direction where you want to cut the wood, and you place it in and put the back of it right against the back of the mitre block, like so. And then you just line up your mark with that, place your saw in like so, and then just cut. But just hold this tight each time, obviously keeping your fingers out of the way of the saw. The only other thing I wanted to mention about this is, which is something I mention in this because this is a mistake I made so many times until I realised why I was getting this wrong. This is probably one of the pieces that I'd cut years ago and ended up, it's in the shoebox to be used another day. And I'm showing you this bit because if you look at the shape of it, or the profile of the back of the coving, it's got a flat bit there. So you've got one bit coming up flat there that would go to the wall or the ceiling, and a bit at the top that would be either the wall or the ceiling, depending on which way you were putting it up. But there's a diagonal bit cut out there, but it is significant. You know, it's not coming to a point, it's actually flat. So instead of it being like that, just two flat sides, it's basically 3 flat sides. And the thing that I was getting wrong, I was putting it into the mitre block and not realising that I was using this flat bit in the corner to hold it, and it does do that very, very easily as you put it in. Oh, hang on, it will actually, that little bit in the middle will sit flat against the block, and then I'd cut it at the angle, and then obviously it's not going to fit because it's not right. So must remember that you turn it so that the wall part, or this wall section, is up against the mitre block, like so, and then you can see the diagonal bit coming out along with the roof bit. So you're keeping that now. So it's basically the ceiling bit is flat and horizontal at the top, and then again you would just cut your angles. So, so hopefully I didn't bore you then. Someone will have found that very interesting and very important and very educational. That's the reason I did it, because of you. Anyway, I will get on with this. Hopefully that makes cutting covings or cornicing and skirting board makes it a bit easier for you. Obviously with skirting board, that's usually just flat at the back with just some shape on the front, so it always goes into the back of the mitre block with the top of the skirting board where you can see it, obviously not underneath, so it's the right way up as it's going to go in the room, flat against the back. And again, because it's an inner corner, you're cutting into the wood. If you're going around the chimney breast and you've got a little bit at the front of the chimney breast, then you're going to do an outer corner as the same as you are doing with the ceiling, just the same thing. Let's get on with it. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the just what the shape would look like going around the sides of the chimney breast. Just to show you, it's a very sort of odd slanting shape and it's very narrow. So what I did, I had a piece this long left over from another length that I'd cut, and this already had the if I look at this, show you the top of it, the ceiling there, that's the ceiling part of it, so on the wall, and it's going out away from the rest of the length, so we know that's an outer corner which will go around the front of the chimney breast. Coming back to the wall, that's an inner corner which is going to go along the wall, and we know that once we've got the length that we want, the inner corners always go in towards the length that you want, the piece that you want. So basically you end up with a piece with the both cuts going in the same direction. One is going to go on an inner corner when it meets, and one is going to go on the outer corner for the rest of the chimney breast. So it looks like a very slim piece like that. And what I did just with this bit, you can either measure from the wall out to the edge of the chimney breast, but as I had this piece already, let me put it together. As I had this piece already, and one of the angles was the outer corner, all I did was measure the depth of the chimney breast and measure from the edge of this piece that was already cut. So I'm measuring from the front of the chimney breast to the wall, just because I've got this piece already handy. Okay, so it was 2.2 centimeters. So I measured back 2.2 centimeters, made a pencil mark, and then that was, when I put it in the mitre block, that's the angle I was cutting from there straight out. And basically, as I said, that's what it gives you. I haven't, now I'll bring the camera over, I haven't actually fitted it in yet. It might be too wide and sticking out too much past the front of the chimney breast, or it might not be enough, especially if it's not deep enough. Then the bit that you put across the front will be jutting out and you won't get an angle. So this may not be right. I may need to cut another bit, but you can't. Really, you have to fit them first. So let me just pause the camera and I'll move across. Okay, when I found out when I pause the camera, I can't turn the screen around and then carry on filming. So I will have to stop filming and go on to another clip. Okay, so now I can film on the inside. So let me just put this microphone down here, sorry about the noise, and lift this up. Now if I can get the piece, that's the ceiling area and that's the wall area. So I'll try and hold the camera, but I'll need to look at the wall itself to fit it in. Oh, and that is a very good fit. So it goes into the corner, and then what you want, this straight line down here, the straight part of it, you want that to meet the corner of the chimney breast or the door, and the straight line does. If it came in front of it or behind this piece going across, it would be too big or too narrow. But once the bit comes across the front there, that will be just fine. So I can glue that. And what I do is glue the other side as well. coming out first, and then I'll put the bit across the front. So I'm now going to concentrate on the ceiling paper. For that I'm using, just to get certain measurements at the moment, I'm using this 5mm square strip wood, and I'm putting it against the coving at the back, then lifting it up, and lifting it up, and then measuring lines there so I know exactly where it comes to. Obviously check it on the other side as well, and make sure that is, make sure that's the same as well, which it is. Then I've also measured the width of it by putting the ruler on the ceiling and marking 30cm lengths, and then measuring the tiny bit in between. I think it was 32 or 33, sorry, 62 or 63 centimeters wide. So I've got that measurement. I then measured the width of the room on the paper from there to there, but I started first of all marking, getting the nearest central spot to that length of paper, so that I've got something right in the middle. So that is directly halfway, the halfway line across the room. So that's one half of it, and then that would go to the other side of it. I've taken the thin edge pieces off because it has a thin edge piece, and now this is too deep for the room, but I've measured it. So in fact I've cut this piece off of here because I've measured the center from this point here out and out that way, and it comes to here where you can see the pencil mark, and this actual shape here would be the center of the room, and that is where the chandelier will hang from. So I've just got to cut this line along here all the way up down there. It will leave me with this strip here, but I don't need that anyway. So once I've cut that, I can then choose either this side as the back of the room or this side as the back of the room. I don't care, it doesn't matter because it's now even. And I will cut out a section for where the door comes round, so this will slot into the back wall. Okay, I'm very, very pleased with the size of this paper, the shapes and everything, because it's filled the room exactly as I would want. So this is the side, the width of the room going along here, and that's the depth. So along here where the paper, the shape comes out here, it's exactly the same on the other side, bits here. And then the front or the back of the paper, it actually finishes on the edge of one of these perfectly right along, as it does to the back as well. Now, I couldn't have been any luckier with this paper. And of course, although there are houses where it's just white plasterwork like this on the ceilings, obviously this isn't going to be left like that, even though some people may like it. The owners don't like it. They think it's hideously bland. So obviously they have got me to go to town with it. So I will begin with gold. Yes, hurrah. Oh my giddy aunt, as we say here in the UK, which I have no idea what it means. But sometimes a certain phrase just comes to mind to explain your feelings. This was a tough assignment that I was going to say I gave to myself, but the owners gave me. One night in bed, obviously, talking about it, and they decided that they wanted the ceiling completely coloured, no white showing, plenty of gold, of course, and they wanted colours in the ceiling. They then decided they wanted the colours that were the exact same shades as the floor pattern on the marble flooring. So okay, I managed to get that done, as you could see. And as you know, through watching the last part of the video, how long it took. Over 3 days, and it's very hot and sunny here at the moment in the UK, so the doors and the windows were open and not much of a breeze, so I had to keep taking breaks. And why I'm saying it was so difficult to do, well, when I started, first of all, just with a spare piece that was left over and painting, I realised how difficult it was going to be to not get wavy lines in the shapes that I'm going to colour, and the coloured paint wasn't going to cover up the gold. And I had already started to do the gold without thinking, first of all, which is fine. And also I found out that when you touch this gold onto this wallpaper, it does not wipe off, it does not clean off. It's I don't know if it just stains or smudges, especially with it all being very textured, but you cannot remove it. So one false move over all these hours would have messed up that part of the ceiling. And my clients, the owners of this property, the palace of all places, did not want a mistake made in the ceiling. Oh dear, I put myself through paces, don't I? Anyway, what I would say, don't try this at home. Unless you're not really that fussed, or the owners aren't very fussed of how messy it may look at the end. I'll leave that up to you guys. Right, now, so oh dear, I've just made a fresh cup of tea. Cheers, my lovelies. Oh, so my next task, because it's only 1:20 in the afternoon, I have plenty of time. JB is out visiting family, and I am ready now to put this up in the ceiling of the grand hall. It is the next step. Everything else is in there that I want in there at the moment. So this is the last part of this video. We'll be applying the ceiling paper. So that sounds easy to some. Some may be able to do it easily. I don't know. As I would always say, who cares? Who knows? Who cares? It's me that's got to do this, so I am worried. What I have found through moving this and turning it around, the edges of the paper, this edge in particular, luckily this goes behind into the inside part of the front of the palace. So when you look at the dollhouse, this is covered in wood, so you won't actually be able to see this, even though I've coloured it all, because I want to know it's all coloured. But the paper cracked, the paper bent there, it snapped in a line straight across. I had to super glue it to put it back again, and from there it also split right along, and I had to lay that down and glue it without the glue showing, and then try and paint over it, even though, as I said, this won't be shown once it's in the house, but I'll lay it down carefully. So what I'm telling you is, this paper really cracks easily when it's pulled about. You know, you touch it with your fingers and you get a dent straight away. It just is just terrible. So what I am going to do is, now I know some of you have already said, wait till JB gets home and he'll hold it with you, and while he's holding the paper you can get in there and try and get one end level. That would be a possibility, but then I wouldn't be getting this video out as soon as I have done for you guys to watch, and you've waited long enough. I've been doing so much in between, as you know. So I really wanted to do this on my own. I can't even believe I'm saying this, because I really probably need help. The reason I'm saying this is because I'm going to obviously turn the ceiling over, and as I'd already decided I was going to do, and I showed JB what I was going to do, and he did for his video, when he put the outside walls of the house on using the industrial double-sided tape. I'm going to put 2 or 3 rows of that across the back of the paper, and then in between that I'm going to PVA glue strips of PVA in between that. Reason being, I don't know how long years wise or how long time wise the double-sided tape will stay, whether if it gets hot in so many summers and then cools in the winters, eventually maybe that may come unstuck, and this ceiling will always have gravity against it, pulling on it, and the PVA would hold it once it was dry. So I'm going to put these strips of tape on now and peel them off. I'm going to put the PVA on in between, then I'm going to carefully lift it all up. As I have said, I think I said in the video with JB doing his, because I practiced with a small piece, that industrial tape, once it sticks to the surface, you can't just peel the whole thing off and move things and put it back on again. If it was all PVA, it would slide around for a bit, but then obviously you'd have to have something against the roof to hold it completely. And I don't have such equipment, and it would mess up other things in the room that are already in there. So I'm going to have to offer it up to the house, get my head inside and try and at least get a corner of going the back of the dollhouse and down the side, at least get something squared on before I start pressing the rest against the ceiling. I have to say, folks, the reason why I've talked about all this for as long as I have just now is because this is literally the most scary thing I've done in dollhousing to date. I'm very worried. Seriously very worried. If I mess, this has taken, I can't remember, the 11 hours or something to paint. If I rip this and pull it off and it just looks a mess, I don't have more paper to start again. It cost me a fortune to buy. It's not cheap paper for a dollhouse ceiling. In that respect, it wasn't cheap. So it's got to work first time. So all I'm going to say is wish me luck. Or as we usually say, JB and me, because we love the movie Devil Wears Prada, some of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you will not have a clue. So don't watch the movie just to hear this moment. But there's a moment in it where one of the characters runs out to do something outside the fashion house, and she says, wish me luck, and her colleague, who isn't very nice, says, no, shan't. So if JB was here, that's what he would say to me. Right, okay, let's get this baby turned over on its back and let's put the tape on. I can't get the camera on anything and get it in there with me, so sadly I can't film me doing this. So the next clip will either be the ceiling on and me tearful with excitement, or it will be the ceiling in pieces and a tearful me with sadness. Watch this space. Oh my goodness. Look at me, I'm all anyway. Oh dear. So one thing that happened was I got so hot and panicky worrying about this, and the PVA was drying. I had to give it 2 coats and then move quick. I ended up having to take my top off. It's sticking to me. Apologies, my lovelies. I had to do it topless, so you're very, very lucky that wasn't filmed. Oh, God. Oh, my. Long story short, the ceiling is intact. I thank you. Right, okay. I'm just going to show you and then come out of the workshop and go into the house and put this video together in a cool kitchen and upload it for you because it's just too hot here. JB did call me earlier and reminded me that we have a floor standing fan in the house that I could bring down and work in here with the fan on. You know, now he tells me. I forgot all about it, but I'm going to do that from now on if it stays hot like this. Okay, I am so pleased with it. I hope some of you are that are enjoying this style of dollhousing, but do let me know what you think. I would like to get some reactions from you, but do keep in mind when you do comment, whether you like it or not, how many hours have been put into it so far. As I said, this palace is going to take many months. Let me show you. So there we have the next part of Georgie's palace. I have to say again that was really the scariest thing I've done in dollhousing to date, without a doubt. That was very scary, just with the price of it, what it would cost to redo it, and the time it took, and the heat, and not waiting for JB to come home. I'm sure he would have helped. Well, he would have helped, but there you go. I managed to do it. I hope some of you are happy, and I hope I received some comments of what you think of it. But hopefully constructive comments if you don't like it. But if you do, that would be lovely to hear. I won't know if the owners like it until bedtime this evening, because that's when I lay down, go to bed, put the lights out, and then in my head they come in, usually sitting on the bed beside me, and they chat about what I've been doing in the palace so far and what they feel. I really hope they don't decide once the ceiling is up that they now want it just plain white. If that's the case, then it was very nice of you to follow my channel to this point in time, and I'll say goodbye now, because I don't think I would carry on doing what I do and spending the time I take doing it. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, you lovelies. Thank you so much for all the new people that have come along and you're commenting to let me know you've just found my channel. Hello to you all. There's some love going out there to you. And yes, as I say, thank you for supporting the channel so far. All donations grateful, as they say. So to watch my channel is a huge help. It means what I'm doing is worthwhile, spending my time doing it rather than something completely different. So take care, everybody. Speak to you again soon. I don't know what will be out next, whether it will be another Georgie Palace video or part 2 of JB's video, the apothecary, or something completely different. But whatever it is, it will be out there as soon as we are able to put it out there for you. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching. Bye all.